Stop waiting for motivation. Stop hoping for luck. Success is not random. It's a formula, a repeatable system built on small, consistent actions that compound into massive results. Today, you will learn exactly how to take control, master your habits, and create unstoppable momentum. Every second you delay is a second lost. Listen closely, act relentlessly, and by the end of this audiobook, you will have the blueprint to guarantee your results. Chapter 1: Execution over Explanation. You are here to achieve results, not to impress, not to be noticed, not to explain yourself. Most people confuse effort with proof. They want recognition before they have produced value. They spend energy proving potential. That is wasted energy. Potential does not produce results. Execution does. Execution is the measure of competence. Execution is the evidence of mastery. Action beats proof. Action beats proof. Action beats proof. Say it. Understand it. Live it. You have a choice. You can continue seeking validation, or you can start working. That's the key. The world does not reward talkers. It rewards doers. It rewards the ones who show up quietly every day and produce results that cannot be ignored. Look at history. Look at those who excelled. Look at the people who became the benchmarks in their field. They did not seek applause. They did not explain themselves. They acted. They repeated. They refined. They moved in silence while the crowd debated. Consider the example of Thomas Edison. He tested thousands of materials before creating the light bulb. He did not announce every failure. He did not ask for validation for each attempt. He executed relentlessly. By the time the world recognized his achievement, the work was already done. That is the principle. Consistent action produces results. Proof comes later. You do not need their permission. Do not wait for approval. Do not wait for recognition. You have a job to do. That is all. Your work is the argument. Your systems are the evidence. Every day, you either compound skill or waste time. That is the choice. Stop proving. Start doing. Stop proving. Start doing. Stop proving. Start doing. The same principle applies in business, sports, writing, and every domain of life. The entrepreneur who builds quietly outlasts the one who announces intentions daily. The writer who completes a book silently will outrun the one who tweets progress updates. The athlete who trains alone in the early hours will surpass the one who seeks praise after every session. Do not mistake visibility for progress. That is not the same. Visibility is not progress. Visibility is not mastery. Discipline is progress. Discipline is mastery. Discipline is results. Execution is measurable. Talk is not. Action can be tracked. Results can be counted. Words cannot. That is why systems matter. Set routines. Define specific, repeatable actions. Execute them. Track them. Improve them. Stop worrying about being seen. Stop worrying about approval. Stop worrying about being recognized. Your system, your actions, your results, that is all that matters. You have a choice. You can be distracted by opinions or focused on the work. That's the key. Consider another example. Warren Buffett. Quiet. Consistent. Reading, analyzing, investing. Not explaining. Not showing off. Not proving. Acting. That is the difference between those who succeed and those who fail. Acting. That is the difference between those who arrive years ahead and those who are still talking about it. Acting. That is the difference between results and excuses. Action beats proof. Action beats proof. Action beats proof. Repeat it until it is not just understood, but internalized. You must cultivate a mindset of silent production. Every morning, ask yourself, what system will I execute today? Not, who will notice? Not, how will I prove my potential? Ask only, What will I do? Then do it. Execute it fully. Repeat it consistently. That is the formula. That is the discipline. That is the key. You will be challenged. People will question your methods. They will question your silence. They will ask why you're not promoting yourself. Ignore them. You don't need their permission. You don't need validation. You don't need approval. You need results. Systems. Action. Execution. That is enough. That is all. That is everything. Here is a practical system to implement immediately. Define one action that directly moves the needle on your work. No more. Focus on one measurable action. Execute it fully. Execute without announcing. Do the work silently. Track it privately. Measure results. Ignore opinions. Repeat daily. Do it every day. Build momentum. Small, consistent action compounds into visible results. These 3 steps remove the noise. They eliminate distractions. They put your energy where it belongs, on production, not perception. You have a choice. You can continue performing for others, or you can begin executing for yourself. That's the key. Remember, execution is non-negotiable. Results do not ask for permission. They do not negotiate timelines. They're created by discipline, not by intention. You have a choice. Discipline or distraction. Action or proof. Results or excuses. That is the sequence. That is the formula. It is not about appearing competent. It is about being competent. It is not about winning praise. It is about winning results. It is not about being recognized. It is about being reliable. It is not about proving potential. It is about producing reality. That is the distinction. That is the mindset. That is the rule. Repeat it daily. Live it daily. Apply it daily. Action beats proof. Action beats proof. Action beats proof. These words are simple, but simplicity is deceptive. Most fail because they ignore simplicity. Complexity is a trap. Prove less. Execute more. That is your system. That is your habit. That is your framework. Every day, you decide to act or to explain. Choose action. Repeat action. Refine action. Execute action. That is the pathway to results. As you close this chapter, internalize this principle. Stop proving and start doing. Build your system. Execute silently. Repeat consistently. Measure relentlessly. Ignore distraction. Ignore validation. Ignore applause. Focus on execution. That is the foundation. That is the rule set. That is the first building block of mastery. In the next chapter, you will learn about the silent cost of seeking validation. You will see why approval is a drain on energy and how ignoring it frees you to focus on systems that produce results. Stop proving. Start doing. And prepare to see what happens when you remove the need for permission. Chapter 2. The silent cost of seeking validation. You're not here to be liked. You're not here to be praised. You are here to produce results. Most people fail because they confuse validation with progress. They chase approval. They seek recognition. They want applause before they have created anything of value. That is a mistake. Validation kills focus. Validation drains energy. Validation distracts from execution. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Say it. Understand it. Internalize it. You have a choice. You can focus on others' opinions, or you can focus on your systems. That is the key. High performers do not wait for praise. They do not adjust their actions based on recognition. They execute silently. They measure results. They refine their methods. They embrace solitude. Solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is clarity. Solitude is efficiency. It allows you to concentrate on what matters. Approval is a luxury you do not need. Focus is a necessity you cannot ignore. Look at the lives of the greats. J.K. Rowling wrote her first novels in cafes, rejected by publishers, unnoticed by the world. She wrote anyway. She refined her craft. She acted without seeking validation. Warren Buffett reads for hours alone every day. He does not publicize every decision. He does not seek approval. He studies, analyzes, and invests silently. Elon Musk works through nights, ignoring critics, focusing on the engineering and execution. Results, not validation, define them. That is the principle. Focus on production. Ignore applause. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Every time you seek validation, you're stealing energy from your systems. Every moment spent asking for approval is a moment lost to executing your craft. Every opinion you weigh before acting is a delay in results. That is why high performers isolate themselves. Not to be antisocial, not to avoid criticism, but to preserve energy for action. They understand this rule. Validation is a parasite. Systems are the foundation. Energy must flow to creation, not reaction. You have a choice. You can feed the parasite or invest in the system. That is the key. Here is the structure to implement immediately. Identify distractions for approval. Social media, meetings to impress, over-communicating your work. Remove them. Protect your energy. Focus on measurable outputs. Define actions with clear metrics. Ignore opinions. Track results objectively. Embrace solitude for reflection and action. Spend uninterrupted time executing your system. Silence is your tool. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. You do not need their permission. You do not need their praise. You do not need validation. You have your system. You have your habits. You have your discipline. That is enough. That is all. That is everything. Every hour you spend seeking approval is an hour lost to compounding results. Every day you spend waiting for applause is a day lost to mastery. You have a choice. Focus on energy for creation or waste it on reaction. That is the key. Consider the example of Michael Jordan. Early in his career, he was cut from his high school basketball team. He could have asked for recognition. He could have sought validation. He did not. He worked. He trained. He improved. He acted without applause. He became the best in history. That is the principle. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Repeat it. Apply it. Make it non-negotiable. You must also learn to measure success internally, not externally. Do not allow applause or criticism to dictate your behavior. Develop your own benchmarks. Define your own standards. Track your own results. Systems are your validation. Discipline is your proof. Your actions, repeated consistently, are louder than any compliment or criticism. You have a choice. You can act for recognition, or you can act for mastery. That is the key. The danger of seeking approval is subtle. It creeps in as habit, a request for feedback, a post to show progress, a nod from a colleague. These small actions erode focus over time. They dilute attention. They waste energy. Every second spent on validation is a second not compounding skill, not executing systems, not producing results. Stop it. Eliminate it. Replace it with measured, repeatable action. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Internalize this as a system. Action over approval. Always. Silence over explanation. Always. Systems over opinions. Always. You have a choice. Discipline or distraction. Systems or applause. results, or approval. That is the framework. That is the architecture of high performance. Follow it daily. Repeat it daily. Refine it daily. As you close this chapter, understand this truth. Seeking validation is the silent cost most never recognize. It steals focus, energy, and momentum. Ignore it. Build your systems. Execute relentlessly. Preserve energy for creation. That is the rule. That is the foundation. That is the pathway to predictable success. Next, we will examine how habits silently construct results, whether noticed or ignored. You will learn why small, repeated actions outweigh grand gestures. Approval is distraction. Your work speaks louder than applause. Prepare to implement systems that compound quietly into mastery. Chapter 3. Habits are the hidden architects of success. Your results are not decided by intention. They're not decided by motivation. They're decided by your habits. Daily routines define outcomes. Small, consistent actions compound far faster than sporadic bursts of effort. One disciplined repetition builds more than months of inconsistent intensity. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Say it. Understand it. Internalize it. Live it. You have a choice. You can rely on bursts of willpower, or you can build systems that enforce behavior. That is the key. Willpower is finite. Discipline is infinite when it is embedded in routine. Systems carry you when motivation fails. Habits automate your progress. Habits transform invisible effort into visible results. Look at Olympic athletes. Their training is not inspired by excitement. It is scheduled, repeated, and tracked. Hours of drills, repetitions, and conditioning. Every day, for years. Each action seems small. Each session seems insignificant. Yet the accumulation produces excellence. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Consider CEOs of top companies. Their mornings are not spent deciding what to do. They follow routines. Reading, planning, meetings, decision frameworks. Every action is structured. Every decision flows from systems built over years. There is no randomness. There is no improvisation. Only discipline executed repeatedly. Legendary authors are no different. Hemingway, Tolstoy, Rowling. They wrote daily. Not when inspired. Not when validated. They wrote because writing was the system, and the system demanded daily action. Pages stacked upon pages. Revisions compounded. Work completed silently, reliably, consistently. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. You do not need to feel motivated. You do not need excitement. You do not need external reward. The system, the habit, does the work. Your task is simple. Identify the smallest effective action. Repeat it every day. Make it automatic. Remove choice. Remove debate. Remove distraction. You have a choice. Discipline or chaos. System or randomness. Result or wasted potential. That is the key. Here is a practical system to implement immediately. Identify one keystone habit. A habit that, if executed daily, compounds into other successes. Exercise, writing, reading, or reviewing progress. One action, one system. Anchor it to a time and context. Mornings, before meals, after specific triggers. Remove ambiguity. Remove reliance on willpower. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Track it consistently. Use a journal, a spreadsheet, or an app. Visibility creates accountability to yourself. Momentum builds silently. Habits are not glamorous. They're not inspiring. They're invisible architecture. Yet, they carry the weight of your future. A single repeated action multiplies over months, years, decades. 1 hour of focus, repeated daily, surpasses a week of occasional bursts. That is the principle. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Resistance will appear. You will be tempted to skip, to rationalize, to procrastinate. Ignore it. The mind seeks excuses. The system does not negotiate. Systems do not reason. Systems produce results. Build a habit. Respect it. Execute it. That is non-negotiable. That is discipline. That is power. Examples are everywhere. Warren Buffett reads 5 to 6 hours daily. Jeff Bezos follows strict decision-making processes. Serena Williams trains rigorously. Every session designed, repeated, measured. None rely on inspiration alone. None rely on shortcuts. Habits are the engines. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. You must also design habits to reinforce each other. Layer routines. Stack productive behaviors. Morning rituals that trigger focus. Evening rituals that consolidate learning. Weekly review rituals that refine execution. This is the system, the architecture of results. No single action is sufficient. Only repeated, compounding actions build mastery. You have a choice. You can drift through days waiting for motivation, or you can construct habits that enforce progress. That is the key. Discipline beats desire. System beats impulse. Habit beats randomness. Build it. Follow it. Protect it. Internalize this rule. Your future is not decided in moments of intensity. It is decided in minutes repeated daily. Minutes of reading, minutes of writing, minutes of training, minutes of reflection, minutes of execution. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. As this chapter closes, understand this truth. Your habits are silent architects. They are invisible, but unstoppable. They construct your reality whether noticed or ignored. Build them consciously. Protect them relentlessly. Repeat them daily. Compounding action is your weapon. Master it. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Habits decide your future. Next, you will learn why systems crush goals every time. You will see why focusing on process rather than outcome guarantees predictable results. Habits provide the structure. Systems provide the framework. Together, they enforce unstoppable success. Chapter 4. Systems crush goals every time. Goals are temporary. Goals are fragile. They are easily forgotten. They are broken by circumstance, emotion, or distraction. Systems are permanent. Systems endure. They operate regardless of mood, motivation, or validation. That is the principle. Build the system, forget the goal. Build the system, forget the goal. Build the system, forget the goal. Say it, understand it, internalize it, execute it. You have a choice. You can chase goals that may or may not happen, or you can design systems that guarantee results over time. That is the key. Goals create pressure. Goals create anxiety. Goals create dependence on outcomes you cannot fully control. Systems eliminate randomness. Systems automate progress. Systems produce compounding results silently. Consider the example of a writer who committed to 1 page per day. 1 page every day without fail. 10 years later, that writer had published multiple bestsellers. 1 page a day, not a million at once. Not a burst of inspiration. 1 page, repeated, tracked, refined. That is the power of systems. That is the difference between intention and execution. Build the system, forget the goal. Build the system, forget the goal. Build the system, forget the goal. Goals focus on the finish line. Systems focus on the path. The finish line is distant. uncertain, and often irrelevant. The path is immediate, actionable, and controllable. Your energy belongs to the path, not the finish line. Your attention belongs to the process, not the outcome. That is discipline. That is control. That is mastery. You have a choice. Path or finish line. System or wish. Execution or hope. That is the key. You do not need motivation to follow a system. You do not need approval. You do not need inspiration. The system does the work. The system guides your actions. The system compounds your effort. One consistent action each day becomes a river that carves canyons over time. Results arrive. Quietly. Relentlessly. Predictably. Build the system. Forget the goal. Build the system. Forget the goal. Build the system. Forget the goal. Here is a practical framework to implement immediately. Identify the keystone process that drives results. One action repeated daily. Writing, coding, designing, training, analyzing. Choose one. Schedule it rigidly. Same time, same context every day. Remove decisions about whether to act. Execution becomes automatic. Track and refine. Measure outcomes. Adjust the system. Improve efficiency. Ignore external approval. Focus only on repeated, disciplined execution. Systems outperform goals because they are resilient. They adapt. They scale. Goals collapse under stress. Systems endure through setbacks. Systems protect you from inconsistency. Systems create momentum that goals cannot. Momentum does not depend on motivation. Momentum does not wait for permission. Momentum produces results. Build the system. Forget the goal. Build the system. Forget the goal. Build the system. Forget the goal. Consider an athlete preparing for competition. A goal might be, I want to win gold. But a goal is useless if the training is inconsistent. The system is the daily regimen, the drills, the nutrition, the sleep schedule, the disciplined repetition. The athlete executes the system without hesitation. The results follow, predictably, reliably, always. Goals are outcomes. Systems are foundations. Foundations last longer than desires. Foundations outlast inspiration. That is the principle. You must also learn to separate measurement from expectation. A system measures performance, not intention. You track completion, efficiency, and improvement. You refine based on results. You do not obsess over recognition, applause, or reward. That is distraction. That is external validation. You have a choice. Validate yourself through your system or seek validation from others. That is the key. Many fail because they rely on grand gestures or milestones. A goal of writing a book in a month often fails. A system of writing 1 page a day succeeds. A goal of losing 20 pounds in 6 weeks may fail. A system of tracking calories and exercising daily succeeds. Systems remove the illusion of urgency and replace it with discipline. Systems remove stress and replace it with momentum. Systems remove unpredictability and replace it with control. Build the system, forget the goal. Build the system, forget the goal. Build the system, forget the goal. You have a choice. You can chase outcomes or you can follow processes. Outcomes are fragile. Processes are durable. Processes enforce consistency. Processes compound effort. Processes guarantee mastery over time. Systems protect you from randomness. Systems enforce growth. Systems produce results silently, invisibly, inevitably. That is the difference. That is the rule. That is the framework. Internalize this rule. Your focus must shift from the goal to the system. Execution is non-negotiable. Process is your weapon. Discipline is your path. Build the system. Follow the system. Refine the system. Results will follow. Build the system. Forget the goal. Build the system, forget the goal. Build the system, forget the goal. As this chapter closes, understand this truth. Goals will always tempt you with excitement. Goals will always invite distraction. Ignore them. Commit to the system. Let the process dictate your actions. Habits compound into systems. Systems compound into results. Execution over aspiration. Process over promise. That is the architecture of success. Next, you will learn why mastering your morning is not optional. It is the lever that controls your entire day. Systems provide the structure. The morning provides the launch. Combine them, and you control momentum. Chapter 5. Master your morning. Master your life. Your morning defines your day. The first hours set the tone. They determine focus, energy, and momentum. Most people give these hours away. They check messages. They react to distractions. They let external events dictate their mood. That is a mistake. The morning is not a suggestion. It is a lever. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Say it. Understand it. Apply it. You have a choice. You can react to your day, or you can design it. That is the key. High performers do not allow mornings to be accidental. They structure their first hours deliberately. They create routines that prepare the mind, sharpen focus, and amplify energy. This is not optional. It is foundational. Momentum created in the morning compounds throughout the day. Miss it, and you chase productivity all day. Own it, and success becomes automatic. Consider entrepreneurs who rise before the world wakes. They plan, read, write, and review metrics. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, countless CEOs, all begin before distractions emerge. Their mornings are controlled. Their systems are rigid. Their focus is uninterrupted. Their results follow naturally. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Athletes understand this principle intuitively. Early training, precise routines, preparation before competition. Serena Williams, Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt. They maximize performance by leveraging mornings. Discipline in the first hours builds physical and mental resilience. Small wins early create unstoppable momentum. Habits stacked in the morning compound over weeks and months. That is the key. Military routines demonstrate the same truth. Recruits are taught to rise early, complete precise tasks, and execute without question. These routines instill discipline, efficiency, and reliability. Structure is non-negotiable. Momentum is enforced. Energy is directed toward mission-critical objectives. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. You do not need permission to claim your morning. You do not need motivation. You do not need approval. You need rules. You need structure. You need a plan that is executed every day without deviation. The morning is a system. Systems enforce results. Systems prevent procrastination. Systems remove reliance on willpower. Habits established in these hours dictate performance for the rest of the day. That is the principle. Here is a practical framework to implement immediately. Wake at a consistent time. Early, without negotiation. Remove decision fatigue. Consistency builds control. Define a fixed morning routine. Include preparation, planning, exercise, reflection, or skill work. Execute it in sequence. Remove distractions. Protect the first 2 hours. No social media. No unnecessary conversations. No reacting. Only actions that compound results. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Resistance will appear. temptation to linger in bed, temptation to check messages, temptation to defer discipline. Ignore it. You have a system. The system does not negotiate. Momentum compounds when actions are repeated consistently. Every morning executed perfectly strengthens your foundation. Every morning wasted weakens it. That is the cost. That is the choice. That is the key. Consider this example. A CEO starts the day with exercise, reviewing objectives, and 1 hour of uninterrupted work. By 9 a.m., most of the world is still reactive. By 10 a.m., decisions are clearer. By noon, momentum is irreversible. Early structured action removes chaos. It creates clarity. It compounds into mastery. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Internalize this principle. The first hours are non-negotiable. They are your leverage. They are your system. They create the conditions for excellence. Discipline in the morning is invisible to others but obvious in results. Small, repeated victories early establish dominance over the day. Habits stacked in the morning become habits stacked in life. You have a choice. You can drift through mornings reacting to distraction, or you can own them with precision. That is the key. Momentum flows where energy is directed. Energy flows where systems enforce action. Morning systems compound. Afternoon efforts rely on them. Evening performance solidifies them. That is architecture. That is structure. That is mastery. As this chapter closes, understand this truth. Control your morning, and the rest of your day is governed by your rules. Momentum becomes predictable. Focus becomes automatic. Energy is directed, not wasted. Habits, systems, and structure converge in these hours to produce results. Next, we will examine the power of micro-consistency and why small, repeated actions, even invisible, compound faster than bursts of effort. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Control your morning, control your life. Chapter 6. The Power of Micro-Consistency. Progress is not made in bursts. It is not made in grand gestures. It is made in repetition. Tiny, consistent actions outweigh sporadic effort every time. 1% improvement daily compounds into mastery. It is invisible at first. It is slow at first, but it is unstoppable. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Say it. Internalize it. Live it. You have a choice. You can wait for motivation to strike, or you can act consistently. That is the key. Motivation is unreliable. Inspiration is fleeting. Systems are permanent. Habits repeated consistently are permanent. One small action every day compounds into results you cannot achieve in a single effort. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Consider the principle of 1% improvement. Improve 1% today, 1% tomorrow, 1% the next day. In a year, you are 37 times better than you were at the start. Invisible effort compounds silently. The world sees only the result. Few understand the process. Few embrace the slow accumulation. That is why most fail. That is why consistency is a weapon. That is why micro-consistency is non-negotiable. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Look at real-world examples. Athletes improve strength through small daily increments. A sprinter adds fractions of a second to speed over months. Muscles grow gradually. Skills develop gradually. Each repetition may seem insignificant, yet over years, excellence is inevitable. That is the principle. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Entrepreneurs do the same. One client call, one improvement to a process, one learning moment daily. They build silently. They refine silently. They compound results silently. One action repeated consistently becomes an advantage over the competition who relies on random effort. Momentum grows quietly. Progress accelerates invisibly. That is the power of micro-consistency. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. The danger is impatience. Most quit because the result is not immediate. They underestimate the power of accumulation. They chase shortcuts. They chase grand gestures. That is a mistake. Shortcut thinking is failure disguised as ambition. Micro-consistency does not seek applause. It does not announce progress. It does not demand recognition. It executes silently, reliably, relentlessly. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. You must design systems that enforce micro-consistency. Break large goals into the smallest actionable components. One page of writing. One exercise. One analysis. One call. Execute it daily. Track it daily. Refine it daily. Consistency compounds faster than intensity. Execution beats intention. Momentum beats motivation. That is the principle. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. You do not need permission to start. You do not need recognition. You do not need ideal conditions. Begin today. Begin now. One action. Repeat it tomorrow. Repeat it the next day. Build the habit. Protect the system. Compounding occurs silently. Effort is invisible. Results are inevitable. That is the rule. That is the framework. That is mastery in motion. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Consider the case of compounding financial habits. Saving 1% of income consistently grows into wealth over years. Investing small amounts regularly outperforms sporadic large investments. The principle is universal. Micro-consistency compounds advantage. Every domain responds to this principle. Athletic skill, intellectual skill, career growth, health, wealth, relationships. Small steps repeated daily dominate random effort. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. You have a choice. You can chase grand results sporadically, or you can commit to daily, incremental improvement. That is the key. Systems enforce action. Habits enforce repetition. Micro-consistency compounds invisibly into mastery. That is your rule. That is your weapon. That is your system. As this chapter closes, internalize this truth. Slow, invisible progress is unstoppable. Tiny actions repeated daily outweigh occasional bursts of effort. Build your systems. Protect your routines. Execute daily. Momentum will grow. Compounding will occur. Results will appear. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Small steps every day. Next, we will examine the power of focus, cutting noise and distractions to direct your energy toward high-leverage actions. Micro-consistency creates progress. Focus ensures it compounds. Together, they enforce unstoppable results. Chapter 7. Cut the noise, focus relentlessly. Distraction is the enemy. Distraction kills potential. Every alert, every notification, every unnecessary conversation steals energy better spent on action. Multitasking is a myth. Attempting to split attention weakens performance. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. Say it. Understand it. Apply it. Internalize it. You have a choice. You can react to noise, or you can control your attention. That is the key. Energy is finite. Time is finite. Attention is finite. Every moment spent on distraction is a moment lost to execution. High performers guard their focus as fiercely as their health. They do not negotiate with interruptions. They eliminate them. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. Consider innovators who changed the world. Steve Jobs avoided unnecessary meetings and controlled what he absorbed. Bill Gates retreated for think weeks, isolating himself to read, reflect, and strategize. Nikola Tesla worked for hours in silence, ignoring social norms and external chatter. They shut out noise. They protected attention. They executed relentlessly. That is the principle. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. Social media, constant emails, news cycles, these are traps. They promise information, but deliver distraction. They dilute mental energy. They fragment attention. Ignore them. Schedule them. Control them. Your systems are more important than their content. Focus is non-negotiable. That is the key. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. You do not need permission to protect your mind. You do not need to explain your boundaries. You do not need validation. You need rules. You need systems. You need structure that enforces uninterrupted action. Identify high-leverage tasks. Direct all attention there. Ignore the rest. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. Here is a practical system to implement immediately. Eliminate non-essential inputs. Block notifications. Remove unnecessary apps. Limit exposure to low-value media. Protect your attention. Define clear work blocks. Allocate uninterrupted periods for high-priority tasks. No email. No calls. No social media. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. Measure and adjust. Track where attention leaks. Refine your environment. Remove distractions systematically. The system enforces focus. Distraction is seductive. It feels urgent. It demands attention. It feels necessary. It is not. It is a silent tax on results. Every interruption erodes progress. Every fragment of attention reduces efficiency. High performers treat focus as currency. They invest it carefully. You have a choice. Spend energy reacting to noise, or spend it producing results. That is the key. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. Consider the case of Elon Musk. He eliminates unnecessary meetings. He structures days with high-efficiency focus blocks. He ignores peripheral chatter. His results compound because attention is directed relentlessly toward impact. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. Internalize this principle. Your environment shapes your mind. Noise will dictate your actions unless you enforce structure. Protect your focus. Train your attention. Execute on what matters. Systems enforce it. Habits support it. Attention compounds into performance. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. You have a choice. You can let distraction control you, or you can control distraction. That is the key. Multitasking is useless. Splitting attention is waste. Focus concentrates energy. Focus builds momentum. Focus produces results. That is non-negotiable. That is discipline. That is mastery. As this chapter closes, understand this truth. Distraction is the silent killer of potential. Protect your attention like your life depends on it, because it does. Focus is the lever that amplifies micro-consistency, habits, and systems. Guard it. Enforce it. Execute with it. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. Next, we will examine the power of embracing discomfort and rejecting shortcuts. Focus alone is not enough. Progress requires resilience. Focus wins. Focus wins. Focus wins. Chapter 8. Embrace discomfort. Reject shortcuts. Growth is uncomfortable. It is not convenient. It is not easy. Every shortcut guarantees mediocrity. Every path of least resistance delivers minimal results. You cannot escape struggle. You cannot negotiate your way around difficulty. Pain is not a warning. Pain is a signal. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Say it. Internalize it. Apply it. You have a choice. You can avoid discomfort and remain average, or you can embrace it and excel. That is the key. Resilience is built in the furnace of challenge. Strength is forged under resistance. Comfort is the enemy of mastery. Every time you take the easy way, you defer growth. Every time you endure struggle, you compound skill. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Look at entrepreneurs who embrace the grind. They worked long hours, ignored criticism, and endured setbacks that would stop most people. Elon Musk faced multiple near bankruptcies. Jeff Bezos invested years in Amazon without profit. Sarah Blakely sold her first product door-to-door, facing repeated rejection. They did not seek shortcuts. They endured discomfort. They outlasted the competition. That is the principle. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Discomfort is not punishment. It is a measurement tool. It signals where you're growing. When you feel strain, your systems are working. When you feel resistance, you are improving. Avoiding discomfort signals stagnation. Embracing it signals expansion. You have a choice. Avoid growth and stay safe, or endure difficulty and become exceptional. That is the key. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Here is a practical system to implement immediately. Identify areas of necessary struggle. Challenge tasks, difficult conversations, or skill gaps. Lean into them, don't avoid them. Remove shortcuts that undermine skill. Do not take the easy path for temporary comfort. Do the full process every time. Track endurance and incremental improvement. Note where discomfort occurs and measure growth over time. Pain is your feedback. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Resilience compounds. Every time you endure difficulty, your threshold rises. Every time you reject shortcuts, your skill deepens. Every time you push through resistance, you create momentum that others cannot replicate. Mastery is not granted, it is earned. Pain is your currency. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. You do not need motivation to endure. You do not need validation. You do not need inspiration. You need systems. You need habits. You need rules that enforce execution even when it hurts. Small, consistent actions under strain compound into extraordinary results. Comfort is a trap. Discomfort is the pathway. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Consider the case of top athletes. They train beyond exhaustion. They lift heavier. They run further. They endure repetition that seems unnecessary. Yet every rep compounds strength, skill, and endurance. Those who quit at the first sign of discomfort remain average. Those who endure surpass all expectations. That is the principle. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. You have a choice. You can choose the easy path, or you can choose the disciplined path. That is the key. The easy path provides temporary comfort. The disciplined path compounds results. The disciplined path builds resilience. The disciplined path creates mastery. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Internalize this rule. Embrace struggle. Reject shortcuts. Endure the process. Track incremental improvements. Systems enforce action under discomfort. Habits reinforce discipline. Growth compounds silently under resistance. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. As this chapter closes, understand this truth. Discomfort is not optional. It is the foundation of achievement. Shortcuts are illusions. They deliver mediocrity. Endure. Execute. Repeat. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Next, we will examine the power of measuring, adjusting, and repeating your systems. Discipline without feedback is incomplete. Tracking ensures momentum compounds and prevents stagnation. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Pain precedes progress. Chapter 9. Measure, adjust, repeat. Execution alone is not enough. Systems fail without feedback. Habits alone do not guarantee results. Every system requires measurement. Every process requires refinement. Track, analyze, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Say it. Internalize it. Apply it. You have a choice. You can act blindly, or you can act with clarity. That is the key. Action without measurement is guesswork. Action without adjustment is wasted effort. High performers do not rely on intuition alone. They quantify progress. They assess performance. They refine systems relentlessly. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Consider athletes. They do not train randomly. They measure speed, strength, recovery. Every repetition, every set, every session is monitored. Adjustments are made based on data. Rest is scheduled. Intensity is controlled. Technique is refined. Results compound because every action is informed. Measurement enforces accountability. Feedback drives improvement. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Authors operate the same way. They track daily word counts. They review edits. They monitor pacing, clarity, and consistency. One page a day becomes a book over time. Adjustments ensure progress is not wasted. Discipline without review stagnates. Systems without feedback collapse. That is the principle. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. You do not need external validation. You do not need applause. You need systems. You need tracking. You need honest evaluation. Feedback is information, not judgment. Data guides decisions. Adjustments enforce discipline. Systems are refined by analysis. Progress is compounded through repetition. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Here is a practical framework to implement immediately. Track core metrics daily. Identify the actions that drive results. Measure them consistently. Analyze performance honestly. Compare results to expectations. Identify weaknesses. Identify improvements. Adjust your system based on findings. Refine processes, correct errors, optimize routines. Repeat daily. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Feedback loops are non-negotiable. Ignoring them invites stagnation. Repetition without evaluation compounds mistakes. Discipline without correction becomes rigidity. Systems are living. They must evolve. Adjustments prevent regression. Refinement accelerates progress. Momentum is enforced. That is the key. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Consider the case of professional athletes again. A sprinter times every run. A swimmer monitors lap times. Every slight variation is noted. Every weakness is addressed. Performance improves incrementally, but consistently. Momentum is compounded by discipline analysis. That is the principle. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. You have a choice. You can repeat actions blindly, or you can refine with purpose. That is the key. Systems without review are fragile. Systems with feedback are unstoppable. Discipline combined with reflection becomes mastery. Tracking creates accountability. Adjustment enforces precision. Repetition compounds success. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Internalize this rule. Execution is meaningless without assessment. Action without review is incomplete. Habits without measurement stagnate. Systems without feedback fail. Create loops that monitor, analyze, and refine. Protect them. Follow them. Execute them relentlessly. That is the architecture of mastery. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. As this chapter closes, understand this truth. Feedback is not optional. It is the mechanism that transforms effort into results. Metrics guide decisions. Adjustments enforce discipline. Repetition compounds progress. Momentum is controlled. Systems evolve. Mastery is enforced. Next, we will examine how every choice compounds into legacy. You will see why deliberate action today shapes the life you inhabit tomorrow. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Check, adjust, repeat. Chapter 10. Your legacy starts today. Every choice you make compounds. Every action, no matter how small, shapes the life you will inhabit tomorrow. Time does not wait. Opportunity does not wait. Results do not wait. You have a choice. Start now, or watch time pass. Start today. Start today. Start today. Say it. Internalize it. Act on it. You have a choice. You can delay action, waiting for the perfect moment, or you can execute deliberately every day. That is the key. Small daily actions compound into decades of results. Reading one page, writing one paragraph, lifting one set, reflecting for 10 minutes, all of it adds up. Momentum begins with a single step. Start today. Start today. Start today. Consider the lives of those who achieved mastery. They did not wait for perfect conditions. They acted daily, consistently, deliberately. Their legacy was built quietly, invisibly, until the accumulation became undeniable. Every choice mattered. Every small action contributed. Every system enforced progress. That is the principle. Start today. Start today. Start today. You do not need permission. You do not need recognition. You do not need ideal circumstances. You need systems. You need habits. You need execution. Your legacy is not determined by intention. It is determined by action. Every moment wasted is a moment lost to compounding progress. Every moment acted upon is a building block for excellence. That is the key. Start today. Start today. Start today. Here is a practical framework to implement immediately. Identify one high-leverage action that compounds over time. Execute it today. Repeat it daily. Commit to consistency, not perfection. Small actions done every day are more powerful than occasional grand gestures. Protect your systems and routines. Guard your habits. Enforce your discipline. Remove distractions. Start today. Start today. Start today. Time is your silent partner and your silent enemy. It will amplify action or inaction equally. The difference between success and regret is whether you start now. Momentum compounds. Habits solidify. Systems enforce growth. Legacy is written in invisible actions, repeated daily, silently, persistently. That is the rule. That is the framework. That is the truth. Start today. Start today. Start today. Internalize this principle. The life you will lead in 10 years is determined by what you do today. Small, consistent actions now outweigh bursts of effort later. Focus, discipline, habits, systems, micro-consistency, they all converge in the present. The moment to act is now. Start today. Start today. Start today. You have a choice. Delay or execute. Excuses or results. Reaction or control. This is your life. This is your legacy. You can influence it with deliberate, repeated action or surrender it to randomness. Momentum begins now. Foundations are laid now. Mastery is earned now. Start today. Start today. Start today. If you found this audiobook valuable, subscribe to the channel. Consistent exposure to systems, strategies, and disciplined instruction compounds your knowledge and execution. Don't wait. Take action now. Apply what you have learned. Build your legacy silently, relentlessly, invisibly. Start today. Start today. Start today.